raging in Iran.
We're praying for all the soldiers and troops.
That's great that you're praying, but
how about all the kids that died when the USA hit the towers?
It broke my heart. That is the
In what ways have you grown closer to Jesus?
I serve a righteous God. And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children. But when I say children, I mean like the holy, blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible. Sweet cream foam chai ice matcha. And Bella will have all organic pup cup.
organic.
Yes, everything organic.
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free?
4, 3, 7. Oh, Hannah, you good? 4, 3, 2. Hold your chest lifted. We're gonna lift.
We have to protect all men in America, especially all white men in America. Those are the boys that we care about in this country. America is built on their backs. Yes, because they are the ones who mattered most.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this panel show are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this channel, its affiliates, sponsors, or production team. This content is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. We encourage respectful dialogue and critical thinking around the topics discussed.
Party. Why I like the new party? Number one, it's a group of people that's on a panel. We all have differences, but we all basically still come together at the end of the day. The new party for me is about unity. The new party for me is about educating people to the truth, letting people know what's been going on in our country. With that being said, shout out to the new party, man. We're going to keep it going with y'all.
Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christine.
I'm Gray Mars.
It's Mia.
I'm Kamal.
And tonight on the new party, we are going to talk about extremism here in America. That very first clip that you saw, we discussed. We played the Drewski clip. Kamal, you were cracking up. You tweeted about it today. You said some people are offended.
Yeah.
Talk about what you've seen online, and do you think that they should be offended?
Man, these motherfuckers crying. Go boohoo somewhere else. Y'all crying a fucking river. Man, this is hilarious. We know how Drewski get down. You feel me? Y'all weren't crying when he was making fun of them black Israelites. Y'all was quiet as hell. Hey, shout out to my brother Kiwi. He laughed at it too. Yeah. You feel me? And he was spot on with Erica Kirk. All them death stares and all the dancing and shit. I know y'all been seeing it.
In his defense, he just said conservative women. He didn't even say Erica's name, right? And in his defense, he never said Erica's name. But to be honest, it's one of those things where like the right constantly says people can't take a joke. They constantly call people snowflakes. They say people are pussy. They constantly say people get upset about nothing. And this is one of those times where, okay, well, practice what you preach. This is a joke. Millions of people laughed. Take it in kind. Don't be what you are claiming you hate. Because right now, if you're complaining about this, I mean, you're being a snowflake, as one would use that term.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like
the right definitely can't take a joke down that they're the ones crashing out. I saw the Reverend. He was like, "Oh, this is a widow. She's going through all of, she's grieving essentially." And
No,
then
she
Man,
No, she ain't.
I'm tired of that sassy punk. God damn.
She is not grieving, man. That lady's not grieving. I work in hospice care. I've seen real grief when somebody dies, whether it is expected or unexpected. That lady ain't dying. She's happy. She's only upset that JD can't divorce his wife and she can't get married to JD. That's it.
Well, that brings us into our first topic, or our topics of the night. We are going to be talking about the three political sides in this country: the far left, the far right, and the red pill movement. The three extremes that I think is pushing our country into dangerous directions. We'll start with the far left because people are saying that Drewski's part of the left. Here in this video, we're going to talk about and show what the far left represents. One of the main things that people attack the left on is censorship. Here we go.
Subject. We went back into the archives and dug this up. Folks, this is long. I'll warn you, and I want you to settle in. But we stitched this together over a series of months and years. I archived this because every one of these instances chilled me to my bones. And I said every time they happened to Fast Eddie, put it in the vault, add it to the archive, stitch it together. Over the last 4 years, and this is not an exhaustive montage. This is my personal montage of the times that we have come across chilling behavior related to government and government officials suggesting your speech should be chilled. Listen.
I do think that several members of Congress in some of my discussions have brought up media literacy because that is a part of what happened here.
We do have now some of the sound. As I told you, we're not, and the audience, we're not carrying his remarks live because, frankly, he says a lot of things that are not true and sometimes potentially dangerous.
And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today.
We will hold social media platforms accountable for the hate infiltrating their platforms because they have a responsibility to help fight against this threat to our democracy.
One could watch that and say, well, she didn't give a clear, direct answer. That's okay, because we are not talking about clear or direct issues.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. There was we thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant.
We're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation.
It is just getting started. So far, he's just giving his normal list of grievances. We don't consider that necessarily newsworthy, and there's a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly broadcasting untrue things. So our deal with you is that we will monitor these remarks. If he does say anything newsworthy, we will turn them around and report on that right away. But for now, just know that it's happening and we're not taking it.
But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence.
At some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members.
If you act as a megaphone for misinformation or cyber warfare, if you don't police your platforms, we are going to hold you accountable as a community.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
it got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely...
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's it's meaningful.
But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change.
There has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media sites to understand their power. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation. And
So, Gray, you are the Democrat on the panel tonight. What is your thoughts? Should there be regulations on free speech, or should it just be like a free-for-all? Anything can be said.
Well, I was just reading an article today, and they were talking about Elon Musk taking over X, and they said Elon Musk picked the one letter out of the alphabet that's associated with pornography. So if you look at X, it's been basically just a whole bunch of anti-Semitism, whole bunch of just recklessness on the platform. When Jack Dorsey was the person in charge of it, it was heavily regulated, and then it was like a huge thing because when January 6th happened, people wanted Trump to go on Twitter and say, hey, stop this. And we saw that Trump was just able to say some old X and people reacted to it in real time. So yes, it should be regulated.
Wow. Okay. So again, this is proving the point. This is a Democratic agenda. They want to take away your free speech. Gray proved it tonight, guys. You heard the Democrats say they want to take away your free speech. This will probably be the only thing I will get hyped about. But let's watch. This is Nancy Pelosi talking about gender care for kids.
Just responding to the pauses in gender affirming care here in California.
Well, that is something that I'm working for at the national level, and we have, how can I say, are hoping that we can have gender affirming care for our trans kids, and that it's a sad thing for us. I'm not totally. I don't know what effect we can have nationally with what we have going on in the White House and in the Congress. It's really very sad. If you were there, outside our door, we have a trans flag. Outside of our door in the office, congressional office building, we have the trans flag, as do some of our other colleagues. But that view is not necessarily shared by people on the other side of the aisle.
Mia, what did you just think about what you just heard? We heard a Democrat tonight say we should not have free speech. You heard them all say it. You heard the one on the panel say it. Now you're also hearing another Democrat talking about going after our children with gender affirming care. Is the progressive far left going too far? And what's your thoughts?
First and foremost, this is the United States. You should be able to say whatever you want and just deal with the consequences. If you don't have discernment, that is not my fault. If you say something and you can't handle the smoke from what you say, again, that is not my fault. It is not our job to police people. It's in the Constitution. You could say whatever you want to say. If idiots are stupid enough to believe you, that's on them, not on me. It is what it is. We should never limit speech, because once you open that door, it stays open. And then the next person opens it wider and wider and wider. Next thing you know, we're like China and we don't have any free speech at all. We can't say anything. So, and we already have laws in place when it comes to harassment or anything like that. So there are consequences to your said speech. But on a national level, we should never stop people from being able to say what they need to say. And we should never police them, period. Not my problem. And when it comes to children, children should be allowed to be children. If you truly believe that you are a two-spirited person, you can absolutely wait till you're 18. You can absolutely wait till you're an adult. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have services such as mental health or anything like that. They should, but they should have no pharmacology. They should have no access to surgery, even with both parental permission. We should not be changing the chemical makeup or the physical makeup of their bodies. When they're 18 and they are a legal adult, they can make that decision. But regardless, it's astounding that people think that an entire generation of kids, basically we're making these kids disabled. There's a reason why when you go to Europe, they have stopped all transitioning for minors for a reason. Because we have 14-year-olds walking around with osteoporosis, with bones so brittle, these kids can't even fall. They can't run, they can't anything. And we have an entire movement that's filled with hundreds of thousands of detransitioners now that are speaking in front of Congress, because now big business and big billionaires and big pharmacology are in it. They're in it for the money. They're not in it to save these kids because they actually think these kids have problems. This is just like a money trade now. Before, you used to have to be an adult. You used to have to spend years living as a woman or like a transvestite. You used to have to get multiple mental health checks from multiple doctors. Like, it was a big deal, and only a handful of surgeons in the entire country performed these kind of surgeries. And it was a big deal, and it took a long time to get. Now it's like candy. Anybody can do it. And I just don't think that's right.
The other thing is Tampon Tim, they call him Tampon Tim, excuse me, Tim Walz. This is what he did in the bathrooms. This was a big thing. Here we go.
Conservative pundits and politicians are criticizing Minnesota Governor Tim Walz for signing a law that puts tampons in grade school bathrooms. Paul Spade checks the details for PolitiFact.
Is Minnesota putting tampons in boys' bathrooms? That's what Fox News host Jesse Waters said the other day, and he said it was directed by Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, the Democratic vice presidential candidate. Take a look.
He's sick. Walz forced schools to stock tampons in boys' bathrooms. Tampons in 4th grade boys' bathrooms.
Is that right? Not exactly. Minnesota did pass a law that says menstrual products should be accessible to students in grades 4 through 12, but it doesn't single out boys' bathrooms. It just says the product should be available to all who need them. Some have pointed out, hey, that could include transgender students, and sure. But this advocate told us local school districts are allowed to come up with their own plans for complying with the law. So they could just decide to stock girls' bathrooms or bathrooms for all genders. Ultimately, the law as written does not specifically tell schools to put tampons in boys' bathrooms. And that's why the Truth and Media rates this claim mostly false. To read more about this law, check out our story on WRAL.com.
So, yes, Minnesota supports putting tampons in schools. So does North Carolina. Our lawmakers started the Feminine Hygiene Products Grant Program in 2021. It created a pool of $250,000 and gave out grants to schools so that they could buy the products. School districts jumped at the opportunity. A report showed 66 of North Carolina's 115 public school districts applied for and received a grant. The report also found there is a direct link between student academic success and the provision of hygiene products in school because it removes financial barriers and stress. Last year, the Republican-led General Assembly expanded the program, increasing the pot of money to $500,000. This is great for students. A 2023 study found 1 in 4 teens and 1 in 3 adults struggle to afford period products. There are a few reasons why. For one, tampons are not tax exempt in North Carolina. We're one of 21 states, shaded in yellow on this map, taxing period products at the standard rate. So in North Carolina, that tax is 4.75%. But there are a lot of other products that are exempt from that tax. Cotton, tobacco, peanuts, and other farm products. No sales tax when sold to manufacturers. Wood chippers, certain public school books, food sold in school buildings. So if that's all tax exempt, why not period products? Some North Carolina lawmakers introduced a bill last year to make it happen, but it's stuck in committee. But let's be real, that 4% tax is not breaking the bank. I'd say the stick.
Kamal, I mean, we're watching the liberal media in full swing. And I know you're independent or, you're non-political, but what do you think about the spin on that news story? I mean, they're like, no, it's not true. It is true, actually. Tim Walz did put tampons in boys' bathrooms. That is true. That's not made up. But the reason for it is because his thing is there are girls, well, biological girls transitioning to boys, and now they are then boys, so they're using boys' bathrooms. What do you think about what you heard?
They said 4th grade, right?
Yeah.
This shit insane, y'all. Putting tampons, let alone the boys' bathroom. The girls' bathroom in the 4th grade? Nah, that's getting too close to the P-foul shit. I'm sorry. 4th grade? I could kind of see middle school, you know what I mean, for the girls' bathroom and shit. Not the boys. I'm like, why the fuck y'all putting tampons in the boys' bathroom? That shit crazy. You feel me?
I'll say there are little girls that start their period at 9 now. I'm about to blow your mind. In our generation, that didn't happen, but these kids now, they start their period mad young.
I know, I heard of somebody a woman started her period at 10, so I know it's young, but I'm just like, it don't happen too often, right? And for this elementary school, y'all, we got to think about this. This elementary school, come on now. I can see middle school for the girls' bathroom, but the boys' bathroom, that's shit weird. I ain't gonna lie, that's some weird ass shit. Put the tampons in the boys' bathroom, let alone 4th graders. I don't know what to tell you. Shit is insane.
Yeah, I mean, so that's part of it. A lot of people are upset. They say that they go too far. But the next thing that many people, when I was doing research on it, where they feel they go too far is defunding the police. Here we go.
We've been talking about defunding the police.
There's some issues that we ask police to do, like mental health issues or policing in schools and all the rest, that perhaps we can shuffle some of that money around.
Suck it up. Defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police.
Mayor Eric Garcetti saying, take some of the money from policing, about $150 million.
I applaud Eric Garcetti for doing what he's done.
Funding isn't necessarily as aggressive as a lot of folks paint it. School budgets get cut almost every year.
Not only do we need to disinvest in police, but we need to completely dismantle the Minneapolis Police Department.
So yes, to some defunding.
I know. Heaven forbid her and her family get caught scamming.
We have to reallocate resources. So yes. Would you echo calls from some Black Lives Matter activists to defund the police?
Well, I think now is the time that we need to actually do that work.
It is outdated. It is wrong-headed thinking to think that the only way you're going to get communities to be safe is to put more police officers on the street.
So yes, defund your butts. Defund you.
We do need to reimagine how we are dispatched to these scenes in terms of what's the best tool to bring.
Again, what I mean by defund the police is not take all funds from the police. It is a reduction of the funding going into the police department.
They are talking about reducing the allocation of resources to that department. And I think every single city in this country ought to be thinking about the same thing.
The minute you talk about reducing a police department's budget, then it's like all hell breaks loose, and everybody acts like you're signaling Armageddon. But that's not the case.
Yes, I support the reallocation of resources from NYPD.
We will be moving funding from the NYPD to youth initiatives.
Yes, I support the defund movement. I'm for responsible reallocation of resources.
And defund the police.
I think you do all those other things, you don't need all the money that's going to the police department. So yeah, I mean, the spirit of it, I do support that.
We need to invest more in neighborhood services and programming for our residents, for our communities on the front end. Where will that money come from? Well, it can come from overbloated budgets in police departments.
So no, we should not continue to fund more and more our law enforcement, putting the pressure on them to be the whole arbiter of a safe community.
Yeah, and a lot of us were asked if we could imagine a future without police back in 2017 when we were running for office. And I answered yes to that question.
We are going to reduce funding in the police department and redirect that money.
There's no reason the police budget should just keep growing and growing and growing. They can make sensible cuts to policing.
Okay, it literally goes on for 8 minutes. Kimberly, I know you're left leaning. I know you don't call yourself a Democrat, but like, can you explain to everyone why the concept of defunding the police does or doesn't work?
It's so the slogan itself, defund the police, is off-putting because it's misleading. So that's where you lose a lot of people in that conversation. I'm gonna get a shirt. I'm gonna get a shirt that says, I recommend you this one book because I think I've said it a lot. I'm gonna recommend you guys this book right here. It's called Propaganda by Alec I can't say his last name, Karakstanis. And when it comes to the issue of policing, it's the way they communicate the issue that it's where you lose people. Because if you look at funding of police, and I don't want to bloviate too much, but the more you invest in police, the more crime goes up, because that's the way that the policing system is set up. So I don't necessarily agree that the slogan, just like the slogan Black Lives Matter, went haywire. Defund the police is also now counterproductive. I think the conversation needs to be had at where and how we are providing for our communities, because the same with abortion, the same with immigration, crime, and a bunch of other issues, a lot of these silly liberals, and even with the trans issue that you spoke of earlier, a lot of these silly liberals, they'll address it more for like, no, I'm not a communist. They'll address it for more of like a response to something rather than addressing the root issue of something, right? So, for example, instead of spending more money in the government, which costs more money, to provide tampons in the schools, you could just uplift the people and raise the minimum wage, right? Provide more money for the people so that they're able to provide for themselves and cut off corporate tax rates and corporate subsidies, right? Common sense. Same with crime. If you give more to social services, community services, emphasizing the importance of the family unit, communities, that's how you address the issue of crime. But so this book is a really, really good book. I highly recommend it. It talks about how the media propaganda after George Floyd, they started implementing more body cameras, and it's actually had a bad effect with crime. It's actually increased crime because the police, the way that they use the body cameras is actually not productive either. And now we ended up, even after the George Floyd protests, they wanted to defund the police. Police are now actually funded more. But the more you fund police, you're taking away from the services of the community, and that's what creates more crime. Because 98% of crimes are crimes of poverty and desperation. Less than 5% of crimes are actually crimes of assault or abuse. So like, if you just address at the root cause of the issue what crime is, and not at the latter part, right after crime has already occurred, which is counterproductive, then that's, I think, where the productive conversation needs to be had. But yeah, where you get these silly liberals, and I mean, I don't know, I missed the first couple minutes, but I'm not sure if you made a little compilation of the silly conservatives, because they're also against free speech, especially when it comes to the issue of Israel.
We'll be talking about the far right.
Oh, okay, cool. I love it, because especially with free speech, when it has to do with the public square, the public domain, which is now social media, right? People don't meet in person at the public square anymore, so now it's social media. More regulation of free speech actually causes more division. So the only answer to hate speech is correct speech. So yeah, I think I can definitely speak to everything that's wrong with the Democrats and everything that the Democrats are doing wrong, because they're not really trying to fix the issue. They're just throwing money at the problem by virtue signaling, while they're getting money from a lot of the same donors that the Republicans have. It's really at the expense of the American voters.
Yeah, so we're going to switch gears. We're going to talk about the right, issues with the right now. If you guys are watching, please hit the like button. So yeah, the